Justin Taylor, Jordan brand, Melo M9. And I think we'll have him debut the M9 right around Christmas. And then what we did with the M9 is kind of evolving the M8 language, so we know what works here, especially cushioning platform-wise. So when we started with this shoe, we wanted to not necessarily revolutionize the traction or the actual tooling, because we knew that we built that one specifically for his game. It was more evolving and tweaking to create a better, lighter expression. So when you look at them, you'll see some similarities in the fact that their heel is still segmented into articulated crash zones for each side, so we can still get that nice solid plant for Melo when he's planting and cutting. And then we still got this arch support built in, so Shank's still here. And then the biggest change comes in the forefoot. So whereas this one, we went with the full volume max bag, that's the zoom based, and we caged it with the TPU. On this one, we actually went back to a lower profile zoom bag, so it's actually a one-to-one fit with this pod shape. So this is an actual zoom bag right underneath this rubber, and we actually extended it out of the footbed by 1.5 millimeters. Okay. So he actually engages the zoom bag first, so it's like a mechanical podular system. So as he plants, he hits that bag compresses, and then the rest of his foot lands right after that. So you get much more of a cushioning impact protection, but you get that responsiveness of the Zoom Air unit itself. So that's kind of how we evolved that. And then now the heel has, instead of a blow max bag, we have the max volume zoom bag in the heel for that impact upon landing. So then when we go into the upper, what we did with Melo this time is during the lockout, we had a lot more time to spend with him because he obviously he was just doing training. He didn't have obligations of travel and NBA games. So he actually came to campus, and him and some of the players did a week-long training camp at Nike. So we had a week of just almost full exposure to him and what he was doing. So we actually brought him into the lab and re-scanned his whole body and his foot. So we hadn't done that since he was a rookie. So we really wanted to see how his body or his feet have changed since he was a rookie. So when we went in, we used the foot scan. We knew he had a narrow foot, but now we had more accurate, up-to-date data around how narrow, where's the narrowest point, how narrow is his arch versus the ball girth of his foot, that kind of details. So we really were able then to think about what do we want this shoe to accomplish, and from that came fit. So we really wanted to tailor this shoe to not only fit Melo, but to be supremely adaptive and fit a wide variety of consumers. So that kind of led us to solving for fit. And another thing that Melo said to me was he wanted his shoe to fit like Iron Man's suit. So that fit right in with what we were trying to do anyway with that sleek fit. So what's cool about Iron Man's suit is when he puts it on, it's got a lot of layers of protection and articulation, but it doesn't look bulky when Iron Man's wearing it. It's nice and sleek, real form-fitting, and it doesn't hinder his motion at all. So that's kind of what we want the shoe to do. So philosophically, there's that Iron Man suit inspiration, but visually, it didn't come from that at all. What actually led to kind of the visual was Melo being in New York now and being exposed to more high-end fashion and those kind of things. He's gotten into really nice watches. So high-end watches that have a lot of articulate details. So one thing we talked about were watches that have tourbillon movements. So what the tourbillon in a watch is, it's a small detail that almost functions like another watch within the watch. It's got a bunch of small articulating pieces, and it works to make sure that the rest of the watch stays as precise as possible. Because over time, gravity can have those hands and all the little gears kind of settle, and the watch loses time. But the tourbillon functions as like almost that perpetual battery within the watch. So actually what the tourbillon said when I looked it up is it's designed to negate the effects of gravity. And I thought that was a really cool parallel because ideally the shoe would be designed to negate the effects of gravity, allowing our athletes to play well above the rim. So that kind of led to the visual inspiration. So we looked at that watch, or several of those watches, and we kind of saw how one thing they have in common is they all have these really articulated faces with different layers of detail all going on. So all these different layers are functioning individually, but together they create one very strong unit. So that's kind of what, when you look at this shoe, you'll see these different layers, but they all function together after one strong thing, which is fit. So when you look at the base layer, we've got this full-length inner booty on the inside, so it completely wraps the foot in a nice form-fitting bit of comfort. And then above that, interweaving with the upper, we have this dynamic fit flywire piece. So this is really where the core of that fit comes from, because what this piece does is it not only wraps the foot and laces into this lacing system, but it goes under the foot. So this area and this area actually wrap in about an inch under the foot. So it does that on both sides, lateral and medial. So when you tighten up that shoe, you're cinching across the top of the foot, you're cinching around the side, and you're cinching from underneath at the same time. So it creates this lockdown feel that's unparalleled. But what's also unique about it is this last piece that runs to the back actually wraps around the booty towards the Achilles. So when you lock in from the front, you're also locking in from the heel at the same time. So we've eliminated heel slip problems in the shoe. We've really given Melo that stable base because he's really paranoid about ankle things. So he's always paying attention to how shoes fit around his ankles, what kind of support and protection he's getting. So this really gives him that full lockdown.
Will that do a lot towards protecting the actual Achilles as well?
Well, we didn't test it against Achilles injuries and that kind of deal. We built it more as a heel and ankle system. So I can't say yes or no to that because I don't have any proof to back it up. And I don't want to lead people down an incorrect path.
Right.
But as far as like heel fit and heel support and ankle support, it's engineered in there. So those are kind of the three different layers that are all working together. So the last is this quarter piece, the blue piece here. And it's got obviously lightweight because we punched out a lot of the material, and that allows these pieces to weave together, so it lets the upper be more flexible than a traditional build where you just have one solid piece down the side. And also lets each one of these lace points, they all work independently of the other ones, so you really get that custom lockdown for a variety of feet.
What's the weight?
The weight on this one is the lightest to date, so this one hits it just slightly above 14 ounces.
Okay.
So while obviously that's not industry leading
right.
for Melo, we feel like that's a really good place for him.
Right.
Because as he is a larger player, a more powerful player, we're not taking him at the moment, you know, like sub 10. Like
right.
we'll keep going every year to be a little lighter, until we feel like we hit that Melo sweet spot.
Right.
But for him, he loves the weight of this shoe as it is, so he's good on the weight for us right now. And he actually like picks them up and he's like, oh, I love the weight. They feel super light. And he talks about having bad knees and all that stuff, which I laugh at because he's, 7 years younger than me and he's telling me about having bad knees.
Right.
So it's kind of funny, but I do what I can to help him out.
How much of a decrease is that over the 8s?
The 8s, it's about half an ounce or so over it. So I mean, it's not a revolutionary step, but it is a step. And also the weight is more evenly distributed in these shoes, so they feel lighter just when you have them on your foot, as opposed to a shoe that might have like a heavier heel or something like that, which is, it's hard to quantify. But if you've ever had on a shoe that's got a super light upper but then a really heavy midsole, like a boot or something like that, you can feel when you're walking around that all that weight is under your foot. So the way the shoe is built, it's got a more even distribution, so it feels uniform. And then just a couple of the details, design inspiration details. Obviously Melo's logo front and center on the tongue. Got the 9 perfs here for the M9. Got Melo's logo, or jersey number 7, little logo hit on the tongue there. Then we've got this little detail on the heel, kind of represents that watch face. So when you look at it, you see the Jumpman and you see the tick marks. So it kind of hints at a 12, 3, 6, 9 kind of read. Again, tying back to that watch detail. And then on the bottom, you got his signature as his little official sign off. So that's M9 for you right there.